guys, even an accused murderer thinks that Disney has gone too far, and who could blame them? They acquired the two most important franchises to young men and then proceeded to spit in their faces, and we need to talk about it. So guys, on a recent podcast episode from about a week ago, Snoop Dogg basically said everything that we've all been thinking about Disney. Just take a listen.
I took my grandson to see, what was the movie with Buzz Lightyear?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, with Keke Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Keke's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. So it's like, it's fuck me. I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for.
I mean, he literally is saying what we all are thinking. His grandson is saying what we're all thinking. Like, first of all, how does this even make sense? Why is this here? Snoop is like, God, I did not ask for this when I came to see this, like, kids Disney movie. This is not what I was expecting. And of course, because of this clip, which in my opinion is very harmless, I'm going to tell you exactly why people melted down online. But before we dive into that, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you want to stay up to date on all of this internet insanity and everything that we're uploading, make sure to ring that notification bell. Now, like I said, people have been melting down online, but primarily this has been happening on Blue Sky, of course, because that is where all the libs live these days. One person said, Snoop grew up to be an angry conservative grandpa yelling at the kids, mad at female rappers for talking about sex, mad at Pixar movies for having LGBTQ characters. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I mean, I feel like this person and so many other people posting didn't even watch the clip, because Snoop didn't say anything that was anti-LGBTQ. He was just not expecting that in a kid's movie. As a grandfather, he does not want to have to go to a movie and then be in the middle of the movie and have to explain all of this to his grandson again while he's high, because Snoop Dogg is perpetually high. And at the end when he was like, oh, I'm scared to go to movies now, it was a joke. Like literally he's just being like, huh, that was a lot. That was, I didn't know how to answer that question. He's not saying he is scared of gay people. He is saying I am scared of having those tough conversations, and I really did not want Disney and Pixar to drop that on my lap on a random Wednesday afternoon when I was taking my grandson to go see Lightyear, whatever the heck the movie is called. Like that really is all that happened in the clip. Another person commented and said, I kind of miss when people used to be afraid of saying shit like this, even if they felt it. Yeah, okay, well, you're really saying the quiet part out loud here. I'm sorry, because cancel culture is kind of dead in the water for most people. So they're gonna say what they believe, and you really can't do anything about it in 2025, even though people do try, because in light of this, people literally started petitioning to have him removed from performing at the Australian Football League finals next month. That is his next big performance that he is doing. Official calls to remove Snoop Dogg as event headliner following bizarre homophobic rant. And guys, an Australian senator even took to the floor in the House of Parliament to talk about this, to talk about how Snoop Dogg should be removed.
Snoop Dogg gets $2 million to play his misogynistic, homophobic music on our turf. We need investment in Australian and Aussie talent. We need investment in our music industry. And we need to say that if it's an Aussie game, it's an Aussie artist playing. I urge the AFL, have the guts to rethink this decision.
Well, I hate to break it to you, ma'am, but I think that the AFL will have the guts to actually do something a lot cooler in 2025, and that would be not canceling him, because soon after you made that little announcement on the Parliament floor, the CEO of the AFL came out backing Snoop and said, yeah, we hired him for a reason. We don't care. We know about his past. We know about the things that he said. We don't care. He's going to put on a great family-friendly performance. We don't care. See him next month. Enjoy yourself. End of discussion. Like, completely backed him. Didn't say, we're going to talk to him. We're going to tone things down. They said, we literally know everything about him and we still hired him. Like, do you really think that you complaining on the Parliament floor is going to force us to change our decision? No. Like, this just feels like a massive win for culture, because this would have not even happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was a completely different culture. The tide is completely changing, guys. Everybody knows it. Even Disney knows it. Because it's not just Snoop Dogg that has been turned off by their films recently. It's most of us. But more specifically, It is the young men. Disney has completely and utterly lost it, and they know. And the men are not staying silent, unlike my suppressors. Okay, guys, so let's talk upgrades. Shooting is obviously great, it's fun, but what about shooting suppressed? That's better, way better. And if you are a responsible gun owner, you want to be in control of your accuracy, your recoil, your hearing, all of it. And that is where my friends over at Silencer Shop come in. They make it ridiculously easy to get a suppressor, the one upgrade that instantly makes your guns perform better. And shooting suppressed isn't just quieter. It means better accuracy, less recoil, and a lot more fun. And yes, before you ask, suppressors are 100% legal in most states, and Silencer Shop has simplified the entire process. You just pick your suppressor out online, you make your account, you sign a couple of forms, and they handle all of the heavy lifting. You can get your suppressor in literally just a few business days. They have helped hundreds of thousands of shooters do it, and they are also not just behind the counter. Silencer Shop is out there every single day defending your Second Amendment rights, so if you guys are ready to support a company that supports you, if you're ready to make your shooting experience smarter, safer, and seriously more fun, head on over to silencershop.com/Cooper and get started today. Again, that is Silencer Shop, because shooting suppressed makes you better. Now, back to the story and back to the young men. Last week, it came out that Disney is pressing creatives in Hollywood to bring them projects that will help them reach young men, because they need them, because they realize that young men are not coming out to support their projects anymore. This is a tweet from Variety. He said, leadership at Disney is pressing Hollywood creatives for movies that will bring young men, ages 13 to 28, aka Gen Z, back to the brand in a meaningful way, specifically original concepts. Oh, great. You finally realize we don't want any more remakes. Thank you very much. Rachel Ziegler, thank you so much for your service. You did this for all of us. They go on and they say, sources say that Disney has been seeking new IP and pitches such as splashy global adventures and treasure hunts, as well as seasonal fare-like films for the Halloween corridor. Wow, guys. Content for young men, original IPs. Disney, have you finally learned? After 5 years, a decade, maybe even 15 years, you have finally realized the consequences of your own actions, and now you are desperately trying to change course. Now, it seems like they have realized the error of their ways, but not everyone is excited about that, specifically the creatives at Disney that they did hire in the past. Now, one writer and showrunner who had a show, greenlit and produced by Disney, responded to that Variety tweet, and he said, "Won't someone please think of the Gen Z males?" Buddy, look in the mirror. It is your girl power-led, gay, disabled Disney Plus TV show that got Disney into this predicament in the first place, and I am not exaggerating about that description in the slightest. This man, his name is Matt Braley. He created the Disney Plus show Amphibia, which features canonically LGBTQ characters and relationships, including a bisexual, a sapphic couple, and Allie as a pansexual character. This is in a children's show. But I'm not done, because they had to check every single intersectionality box, and so moving on, they also have several characters that have physical disabilities, including Captain Grime, blind in one eye, a king who is missing an arm and a leg, Valerina, who's also missing an eye, there's somebody with autism. I mean, guys, how many boxes are you trying to check in this one show? Like, I guarantee that show was not reaching the Gen Z males, and so yes, Matt, that is in fact why Disney is so desperate to get them. You should probably think about the Gen Z males that have been alienated by shows like yours, because I guarantee they are not watching that. They are out working hard, probably wearing their Brunt boots. Now, guys, if you are looking for durable boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers and can still be worn out to dinner, look no further than Brunt's best-selling Marin work boots. I was literally wearing mine the other day. We just got Alex a pair. I love them. I know you guys will too, because these boots are not only built for the toughest jobs, but they are also completely waterproof. So whether it is rain or mud, your feet will stay dry from oily workshop floors to muddy farm fields, and importantly, you'll still look good doing it. So ladies, this is a great gift for your guys. And Brunt isn't just about work boots, because from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any work condition. And this has always been the goal. Brunt was tired of workwear brands out there cutting corners, because you work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. And for a limited time, our listeners and viewers will get $10 off at Brunt when you use code Brett at checkout. Just head on over to bruntworkwear.com, use code Brett, and you are good to go. And after your order, they will ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them that it was from this show. But guys, don't just take care of your feet. You also need to take care of your mind, and that is where Peterson Academy comes in. Americans right now are drowning in over $1.8 trillion of student debt. But thankfully, my friends over at Peterson Academy is offering a revolutionary and affordable alternative for higher education. Already trusted by over 50,000 students, Peterson Academy Academy is Jordan Peterson's new platform for higher learning. Peterson Academy delivers over 55 8-hour courses in subjects ranging from psychology to philosophy, history, neuroscience, math, the Bible, Shakespeare, and more, with 4 new courses being added monthly. Peterson Academy's professors boast teaching credentials from Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, MIT, bringing the very best lectures in the world straight to you on your devices. And it's also not just the content that makes it special, it is the experience. Peterson Academy's courses are filmed with cinematic production quality, making the material engaging and easy to follow anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. So whether you are a homeschool family looking to up your curriculum, a lifelong learner, or a student looking for an affordable alternative to college, Peterson Academy is for you. And while Peterson Academy is still in their beta phase, you can lock in your annual membership for just $399 instead of $599, but this is only for a limited time. If you want to join the education revolution, head on over to petersonacademy.com/Brett and claim your seat today. Anyway, all of this is just chef's kiss. It is so hilarious, and Disney rightfully got reamed on social media because they literally have spent the last 10 years pushing against making content for men while they tried to increase female representation. But they didn't just increase female characters or increase female representation. You did ridiculous gender swaps on a daily basis. You put men down, you shamed them, and you mocked them, not just in your marketing, but in your content and through your characters. That is the message that you were putting out in the world. That is why men have completely and utterly walked away from your brand. You made diversity quotas part of the creative process, which in my mind completely destroys the creative process because it makes it entirely formulaic. And no, I am not kidding about literal quotas, because take a look. This is the test that Disney projects have allegedly had to pass in order to get greenlit. Take a look at this. This was leaked back in 2024. Disney General Entertainment Content Inclusion Standards. So they have all these different categories: standard A, standard B, standard C, standard D. And so they have on-screen representation, creative leadership, below the line, and industry access and career development. So literally they have inclusion standards from the characters on screen to the people marketing the films to the people working on sets on all of these projects. That is how deep this goes. So for example, in standard A for on-screen representation, what we all would be watching, they require that at least 3 of the following 5 areas need to be met in order to fulfill standard A. One of which would be 50% or more of regular and recurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. Number 2, 50% or more of regular and recurring actors come from underrepresented groups. Number 3, secondary characters, meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups as secondary or more minor on-screen individuals. That is why we have been seeing what we have seen from Disney in the last 5 years, because this is how they are producing content. And Disney was also not the only one keeping track. They were being watched like prey, which a writer from Them magazine gleefully pointed out as he was writing about all of this Snoop Dogg drama. Though Snoop seemed worried that LGBTQ plus representation was being increased in children's movies, that was not what he was worried about. Again, you're completely missing the point. The GLAAD 2025 Studio Responsibility Index, a tool meant to measure the LGBTQ plus representation across Hollywood, doesn't seem to think that that's the case. Though the report doesn't specifically break out its statistics for animated films or children's films, it does assign each studio a grade. They are literally being graded. Though the Walt Disney Company, which owns Pixar as well as Marvel and 20th Century Fox, received a good grade in 2022, the year Lightyear was released, it subsequently received either poor grades as it did in 2024 or insufficient as it did in 2023 and 2025, signifying a relative drop in the studio's embrace of LGBTQ plus characters. I mean, guys, I don't know how I can say it any better, but they are literally being watched. The entire studio is being graded. Organizations like GLAAD are basically forcing Disney to include sexual content for children in order to receive these ridiculous good grades and standards so that they can get the applause and the progressive brownie points that they need in order to continue producing work in the industry, to continue being applauded by their peers, whatever it means. But none of that should matter when your audience isn't showing up. When families are disgusted, when Snoop Dogg is concerned about taking his grandson, when young men are saying, I am done, I don't want to show up anymore. So yeah, it makes sense to me that in the last couple of years, Disney's grades have gone down because they're realizing that what they have done is not working, probably because their stupid metrics and quotas destroyed the creativity that once made Disney so magical and so incredible, because that isn't the only thing that Disney destroyed. And it is so ironic and hysterical because they are sitting here doing this whole thing. They're lamenting about men, which is so insanely dumb and avoidable because they literally bought 2 huge male-centric franchises and they utterly destroyed them. Marvel and Star Wars. There is nobody else to blame except Disney. And guys, as many of you know, this started years ago. Kevin Feige, who Disney promoted to be president of Marvel back in 2010, he said in 2018 that the MCU would soon have more female characters than men. His exact quote reads, "As the plan goes forward, I think, frankly, we'll be getting to the point soon where we have so many great female characters that those are just our heroes, as opposed to when they are all female or all male. It's just the Marvel heroes, more than half of which will be women, aka the MCU, which basically they ushered in phase 4 of the Marvel Universe." And he has basically done that. I mean, Kevin Feige, you achieved your goal, because in phase 1 of Marvel, it was about 10% give or take female characters, and now we're in phase 5, it is almost 45%. This is according to AI. I had ChatGPT survey screen time and the number of characters. They are almost there. Like, Kevin, you have almost got your goal. And Kevin, how did that work out for you? Are you happy now? Is that working for Marvel? No, obviously it is not, because all of those movies performed far worse than the films without the unnecessary comic book gender swaps and the feminist female protagonists and the awful She-Hulks that everybody made fun of for months and months on end. And obviously I am not saying that the female characters are the only reasons that the movies got worse and that the fans moved away, but something definitely went wrong, and even the Disney blogs have called it out. This is from Disney Dining, and they said MCU decline hits rock bottom and Disney makes crisis decision. That was just 2 weeks ago. And guys, of course, the same thing happened to Star Wars at the exact same time. Kathleen Kennedy became the president of Lucasfilms when it was bought by Disney, another terrible move by Disney's part, and this woman has openly made the Force is female a core tenet. This is an article from last year, Kathleen Kennedy on increasing female representation in the Star Wars universe. Quote, "It is absolutely a priority." Kathleen, why don't you make making good movies a priority? That is what you should be focusing on. Make good TV shows, because that has not been happening over the past couple of years. That is why your franchise is getting reamed on the internet 24/7. That should be the focus. But shock of the century, that forces female BS didn't work either. Shows like The Acolyte absolutely tanked in a really embarrassing way, as did the entire franchise. Hollywood Reporter even covered this last year and said, "Is Disney bad at Star Wars? High budget, scrap projects, fan backlash. It's been 12 years since Disney bought Star Wars, and its galaxy far, far away, arguably, has too many broken toys." And then after that Acolyte show premiered last year, it was reported that it single-handedly helped tank the fan base by 75%. You have lost the men. They have completely turned their backs on you, and why wouldn't they? Like, Disney, that is my question for you. Are you so daft that you do not understand why? Like, you had everything you needed to reach men, and you still failed. And that's embarrassing, because you invested billions to buy these franchises that literally should have handed you. They did hand you men on a silver platter. You essentially spit in their faces. So to see Disney begging on their knees for Hollywood creatives to bring them projects who will reach the men is just pitiful and embarrassing, again, because it was so obviously avoidable. You literally did this to yourselves. And if you want to survive in this cultural and media landscape that is mostly driven by men, really in a massive way, like men are driving the conversation online, you are going to have to change course right now. It is more than just pressing creatives to bring you good projects. You need to redirect in a massive way and say, "Men, we hear you. We are fixing this because we care about you and because we know that your viewership and your interests matter." And honestly, I don't even know if that's going to work. It might be too late, because even Snoop Dogg is scared of you. Hi guys, I'm back on my bedroom floor for another emergency episode, but this one is far less exciting. As I was filming my episode yesterday, the shooting in Minneapolis was taking place, and so I did not get a chance to talk about it. I had already had an episode written, but I would feel remiss if I did not address it here, because obviously this is taking over the country right now, and I think that there's a lot to talk about, so I wanted to take a few minutes at the end of the episode to chat. If you didn't know, yesterday a shooting took place at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. 2 children between the ages of 8 and 10 were killed, and 17 individuals, 14 of whom were children, were injured. This took place, like I said, at a Catholic school. They were having their celebratory back to school mass, and the shooter, I believe, was outside the school and open fired inside through a window, and he took his own life afterwards. The individual was transgender, 23 years old, and his mother previously worked at the school, so he had a connection to this school. Obviously, the fact that this individual was transgender has, created an uproar online, and so now we are not only debating gun control and what could have prevented this, but transgenderism is being brought into it. And I think both are incredibly important conversations. And I was trying to think about what I wanted to touch on today, because obviously the noise surrounding the story is very loud, and it is tragic, and it is awful, and people are immediately politicizing it in more ways than one, in ways that I think are very disgusting. And I always want to be really sensitive when discussing things like this. But what I want to talk about today is how the Democrats specifically are spinning this story and using it to attack conservatives. Basically, the narrative that they have chosen to run with is that thoughts and prayers are not enough. If you turn on CNN, you're going to see this. If you turn on Jen Psaki's show, you will see her melting down, crying, saying the Republicans did this. They're going to say thoughts and prayers. Jacob Frey is the mayor of Minneapolis. He said the exact same thing. They basically got their marching orders, and they are saying thoughts and prayers are not enough. These children were literally in school. They were in mass praying, and this still happened. God is not here to protect them. And I just want to say, you are correct in that thoughts and prayers are not enough, and something needs to be done, because these shootings cannot keep happening. This is a tragedy that is happening on American soil, but our solutions are not the same. They immediately take thoughts and prayers are not enough, and they go back to gun control. And they say we need to take away everybody's guns. Nobody can have the right to buy a gun. We need to have stronger background checks, whatever it may be. And I just want to say, this shooting happened in Minnesota. It occurred in Tim Walz's state. And I believe that Minnesota is 14th on the list of states with the most strict gun control laws, but they have red flag laws. They have very strict background checks. This is not an open carry state. You have to have a permit in order to carry. And yet somehow this individual, who is clearly mentally ill, obviously mentally ill, experiencing psychosis, was able to acquire multiple firearms, rifles, pistols. He had all of it. So clearly gun control is not the answer here. The root cause of this is not this young person's access to guns. It is this young person's mental illness. The manifesto has been released online. I believe that it is comprised of journal entries. There were also videos allegedly that were posted online. People are breaking those down. If you read those, again, this is a mentally ill individual. There is, Satanist imagery and ideology that is popping up here. He talks about hating Donald Trump. He references multiple people on the right who have angered him. I believe he brings up Brandon Herrera at a moment, who is a big, prominent right-wing gun YouTuber. But it is obvious that this individual was not well, was experiencing psychosis, and was fueled by this anger, and somehow was still able to acquire these firearms. So these laws, I'm sorry, they often do not work. Bad people who want to do bad things, who want to harm children, will find a way, and so that is not the root cause. What we are not addressing, how we should go, beyond thoughts and prayers, is addressing the mental illness crisis that is plaguing young Americans, that is specifically plaguing young men, and that does plague the transgender community. There have been so many instances over the last couple of years as Trump, came out of office and then was running again and now is president again, where people in the transgender community and the LGBTQ community have been encouraged to become armed to protect themselves. Just a couple of months ago, Eugene Weekly, which is a magazine out of Eugene, Oregon, had a cover profile piece on a transgender individual who had bought a firearm, who had bought a rifle to protect themselves. And on the cover of this magazine, it says, if Trump keeps doing what he's doing, we're fighting back. This imagery is everywhere. If you go on Reddit and you read threads from after this shooting, it is completely validated and rationalized by this community. They're saying, well, what do you expect? If you keep pushing us, if you keep taking away our rights, whatever it is, we will fight back. We are armed. They are celebrating what happened. This is not normal. That is not healthy. That is what we need to be addressing. The mental illness crisis. And we have been saying this for years. How many of these tragedies will it take for us to realize that this is the problem that we need to be addressing? And it feels like we just consistently turn a blind eye to it. I mean, I talk about the mental health crisis when it comes to my generation, Gen Z, constantly. And it's only being fueled by social media. It is only being fueled by AI, things like ChatGPT. I don't even know how many stories I have read recently of young people taking their own lives because of the conversations that they have had with AI. things are just getting worse. And so, yes, I agree that thoughts and prayers do not go far enough, that we need to address this. But the thing we need to address is what we can't agree on, even though it seems so blatantly obvious. And so that is what I wanted to touch on today. I also wanted to touch on the fact that this is just another radically insane, tragic event that has happened in Tim Walz's estate. And so, thank God, he is not vice president. But seriously, like, what is going on in Minneapolis? You know, George Floyd, we had the riots, we have the young Somalian man who was running for mayor, which has just caused an insane uproar. And now there's this whole, fight between Jacob Frey and the Somalian who is running. Now it is like a completely dysfunctional city and dysfunctional state. Like, this is not what America should be. This is not what America can be. And thank God we do not have the leader of that state helping run our country. So I just wanted to leave it at that. Obviously, I know I just said that thoughts and prayers are not enough, but my thoughts and prayers are with the families who have been impacted by this community. Not by this community, my thoughts and prayers are with this community who have been impacted by this tragedy. It is just so awful, and I know that something must be done because this keeps happening with the same type of perpetrator. So I think that's all I have to say today. I'm sorry to end this episode that I really enjoyed making on a more somber note, but unfortunately that's just the world that we are living in. So love you guys. That is my thoughts on what is happening right now.